I'm Martina McBride, and I want to speak to you today, or I've been asked to speak to you today, about the data center being built near Sharon. I usually just speak from the heart, but I didn't want to miss any points, so I wrote a letter, which is also from my heart, and I'm just going to read that to you. I'm going to use my readers because I can't see without them to read. Some of you may be able to relate. Dear County Commissioners, the plans for a data center being built near my hometown of Sharon has come to my attention. Needless to say, I have several concerns. I'm sure my concerns are the same as what you've already heard from the people of Sharon and the surrounding areas. They are many and obvious. Light pollution, water supply and quality, energy supply, air pollution from diesel for the generators, the tonal noise that will most certainly affect livestock, crops, expectant mothers and babies, the elderly, and children. Not to mention the noise of construction. All of these concerns have been proven to be concerns by data centers built elsewhere. They are a reality, all in all, forever changing the quality of life for the people here and their children and the future generations. With all of these extremely significant downsides, we must ask ourselves, is it worth it? What is the upside? As most of you know, I grew up in Barber County. Specifically, my dad, Daryl Schiff, was a third-generation wheat farmer who farmed wheat south and west of Sharon. I went to all 12 grades of school in Sharon. I attended church in Sharon. I moved from Sharon to Hutchinson, to Wichita, and then to Nashville, Tennessee. And I took my upbringing right along with me. It is the foundation of who I am. It gave me my moral compass, my work ethic, my common sense, my sense of humor, and most importantly, it gave me a sense of what it means to be part of a community. The idea that we all have to pull together and be there for each other. Growing up there, I see now, was a unique experience, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Growing up on the farm gave me the sense of how important it is to just be quiet, to be surrounded by quiet and let it bring you peace. How important it is to run barefoot and ride your bikes all day, every summer. How important it is to use your imagination. It's okay to pretend like you're a horse, or that your mud pies are delicacies. Being able to go outside at night and look up and see thousands of stars because there's no light pollution. I still love that when I come back home. Being able to drink water right out of the tap in your kitchen or out of the hose in your yard. I could go on and on, but these are just some of the things that I'm worried will disappear for generations of children to come. You know, preserving this way of life matters. So let's talk for a minute about the differences in what communities are sometimes promised and what is actually delivered when it comes to building a data center. And we see this all across the United States. We're trying to, they want to build a data center in Nashville right next to the zoo. And so I've done quite a bit of research trying to fight that. But developers typically emphasize new tax revenue, hundreds of construction jobs, economic growth, better infrastructure, and being part of the technology economy. But what communities actually receive is sometimes very different, often very different. So let's talk about some of those promises and some of the questions that need to be asked. First of all, hundreds of construction jobs. Okay, the jobs in construction are temporary. A large data center may employ several hundred workers during construction, but once completed, the workforce drops dramatically. And most of these jobs are going to be sourced from outside the community anyway. Let's talk about tax revenue. So tax revenue is affected by incentives. Many states and counties offer property tax abatements, sales tax exemptions, infrastructure incentives. So as a result, the tax revenue can be much lower than residents initially expect. We should be asking, what is the projected annual tax revenue after all incentives and abatements are applied? Good question to ask. Better infrastructure. So infrastructure costs may fall on the public. Sometimes roads need upgrades, water systems require expansion, emergency services need additional resources. We should be asking and determine who pays for those costs, the developer or the taxpayers. These are important questions that need to be investigated, asked, and answered before moving forward. Some other questions: how much water will the facility use annually? How will it affect the quality of the water? Is the water supply large enough to handle this facility? How many permanent jobs will be created, and how many of those jobs are expected to be local hires? What tax incentives are being offered, and what tax revenue remains after incentives? Who pays for road improvements? Who pays for utility upgrades? What noise limits, if any, will apply? What happens if the facility expands later? What if it's bigger than they say it's going to be? Will future expansions require additional approvals? Now, I haven't been to any of these meetings, so many of these questions, or some of these questions, may already have answers. I do know that there's very little transparency surrounding these data centers. I also know they are relying on you to not ask these questions or to not wait for answers. Earlier in this letter, I talked about what I gained from growing up in this community. One of the most important things I gained was my good old Midwestern common sense. It's a trait that has served me well, and I've seen it in the people of this community all my life. I'm asking that you hang on to that now. That we use our common sense to take a pause, Not because we are against technology, but because this will affect the quality of life in ways that we may not even fathom. And that deserves a thoughtful and careful approach. Please be thoughtful and careful with this. Look out for each other. Ask all of the questions. Talk to people in other communities who have these data centers and how it's affected their life. Wait for the answers. There's no rush for this. We can press pause. You can press pause, but we get all of the answers. Because the community is about what is good for everybody. So I'm asking you to do your due diligence. That's the job you were elected to do. Thank you everybody for listening. I will keep following this, and thank you for your time.